Okay, today I'm going to show you a little bit about your processor. Usually your processor is sort of protected and hidden. This is an older machine, an older E machine. The fan, actually the processor is underneath the fan because the processor is the most important piece and it needs the most cooling. So if you want to look at and see what this processor looks like, we're going to pull this off, and it'll be nice and noisy for you. And the power supply coming from the motherboard is right here. We're going to go ahead and detach it, and you just pull up gentle, and you know it's the power supply because it's got 3 little pins right there. Next, here is a fan right over a heat sink, which at the very bottom, which you can't even see it, is the processor socket. So each of these connections are going to be different. So I'm going to show you the connection that goes with this. Just be aware that when you get into your computer, you might have to look around a little bit to figure out how to get it off. One of the ways to get off these connections is you're going to push down and gently pull out. Try not to scratch the board, and this is going to take several times probably. So straight down, push, pull out. And then there's a connection on this other side where you're just fitting very carefully. You're fitting this edge over a projection. I'm going to move this over out of the way, or I'm going to try to. Okay, first I'll show you something. Right here is a thermal compound that helps the processor keep away from this metal because you don't want the two touching. Here is the processor itself. It says right on it it's an AMD. AMD is one of the 2 main types. Here is the socket lever. You're going to pull it out gently, as you can see a little area. And then don't just pull it up like that and leave it because it hasn't done its job. It hasn't released yet. You're going to gently pull up and you hear the pop. You don't have to pry on this at all. You gently pull up. If it doesn't start to come up, you have to just play with it. Pull off some of them. Down there are the pins, and that's why you want to hold it by the edges. You don't want to reach in and grab the pins at all. It's very bad. You can see the edges all look the same, with the exception that here the edge has been sort of filed down a bit. And that is to help you know where to put it. This edge for this one goes near the socket lever. So you can look down on this underneath the socket. There's a bunch more of the board. When you go to put it back on, you're going to gently let it fall into place. You're not going to push and do any of that because you're going to bend those little pins. Then to lock it down, gently push down, pull out just a tiny bit, and let it pop over. That's to put your processor back on. Then to put this back on, remember this edge was over here. It's something you want to remember. So the power supply, which is also right here. So the power supply for this piece goes right here next to these large cylindrical objects, and you're just going to carefully, either you can put this back on right away, which I'm going to actually wait because maybe it'll make it easier to put the processor back on. I'm going to gently push it down. These are a major pain to put on, which is why many people, so I fit the edge over here on, You don't want to be pushing and pulling and all that too hard. And then you're going to try and fit it over. And it's not on. That's why you gently pull to see if it's on. Push and see if it's on. And it's on. Now I'm going to gently try and push this right back down on. And if it doesn't go, don't just keep shoving because you will bend the pins. This is one of those small hands. It would be awesome if we had baby's hands. And you just pop that back on, and that is how you get a look at your processor.